So, welcome to this mini tutorial of super beginners mixing deals. The goal of this tutorial is to sort of, I don't know, give like the very first steps to somebody to learn how to get something to sound better and what are some rules that sound engineers usually follow so things are consistent and easy and there is like an objective goal that we have, so it's not just like some esoteric unknown thing. Mixing, firstly, just in case for those of you who are watching this video in the future, this is a consultation that Tatiana asked me to do that is exactly about like how can I get my mixes not to be so pipets, and that I don't mean to give like a lecture on mixing. I just mean to help like a little bit with some orientation of what a person that is in the first year of the course needs to be doing. There will be a couple of lectures about this in the course, and we will talk about this with slides and everything, and I don't want to get ahead, but I just want to give Tatiana an idea of some steps that she can give to start approaching to her projects a little bit better. So there is a joke that goes like this. There are two sound engineers that are, maybe I told this joke already, Tatiana, I don't remember, but sorry if I repeat it. I just talk too much and I don't remember what I say. There are two engineers who are convicted to prison, and they, like, I mean, imagine, like, there are these two sound engineers and they are sent to prison because they both killed a client that he was playing bad instruments. And they were both sent to prison for this, and they spent 30 years on the same cell. And when they came out from prison, the one engineer told to the other, like, yeah, but the snare, you know. So, I mean, the joke is that these guys were in a room for 30 years locked in, and they were just talking about this for 30 years. And then when they came out, they kept talking about it. Like, it's just how it is. Like, talking about mixing and how to put together an audio visual project, it's a lifetime endeavor. And the truth is that, I mean, I don't... it's kind of like if you ask a chemist, what is the nuclear force or what is the weak force, or to a physicist, you know, and the physicist just goes like, you know, he will do something like this, like, fuck man, like how can I tell you this in less than 10 years, you know. It's just like really a lot of information that needs to be processed to mix, because, you know, the guitarist of my band was here a couple of days ago, and I was trying to explain him how vinyls work, and he was not getting it because he couldn't imagine that. I mean, he was seeing as if the what's in the vinyl, it's a multi-track, you know, thing. You know, he was like, how can the needle understand what's the guitar and what's the bass? And I was like, no man, you don't get it. Like, as soon as my sons were next to us, and I said, my sons right now are not hearing like your voice and my voice. They are hearing a new waveform that is a composition of your voice and my voice that became a new waveform. This is something called audio interference. So whenever two sounds are in a space, you know, they are not arriving separate to the listener. They merge into one unique sound, and they arrive together to the listener. So,
can I interrupt you?
What's up? I'm recording something. Tell me.
I need your Italian passport.
You need my Italian passport. I'll give it to you right now. Just a sec. Sorry for this. Amor. Yeah, just get family invasion here. Excuse me, guys. My Italian passport is in the place of all the passports, my love. I don't have it right here with me at the moment. Just have a look there. Sorry, guys. If you don't find it, come to me back. Huh? No, love. It's here. Excuse me. Sorry, future viewers of this video. Just... Da, amor. There we go.
Wow, потрясающе.
Sorry, guys. Okay. Just sorting out documents. Okay. So, when two sounds are emitted, they become one. It's literally like some magical process that happens in the universe. And so when you have a whole bunch of tracks inside your DAW and you're making a mix, what you're doing is creating one unique new waveform. You're not like having separate elements anymore. I was telling this example to him, and I know you will understand it because you are more advanced than him in terms of understanding sound. Yeah, of course. I mean, you have been in this course and thinking about this, and he doesn't. Like, I was telling him, okay, if I shine two lights, a green one and a yellow one, into the wall, like, you don't see like a green light and a yellow light anymore. You see a blue light or whatever. Sorry if I get the colors wrong, but you get my point. Like, I mean, it's exactly the same. Those waveforms of light merge and transform into a new waveform, and that there is not anymore the previous waveforms at all. And that's the reason why talking about mixing is so complex and complicated, because all the factors are involved. The shape of waveform A and the shape of waveform B. If you change a little bit the shape of waveform A by doing some processing to it, either equalization or compression or whatever. If you change slightly the waveform A, then waveform B, the relationship that it will have with waveform B will produce a new unique result. So talking about mixing is talking about how to shape those waveforms so when they combine together, they produce a really a pleasantly sounding and widely dynamic piece of audio, and that forces you to have to talk about very advanced things of how to equalize. You need to understand all the frequencies of the spectrum. You need to know those frequencies. You need to be able to hear something and say that thing has too much 700 hertz, and like, how can you know that something has too much 700 hertz? Like, in the second year of the bachelor's, we have a full course that is 34 lectures about that only. And actually, it has become quickly my favorite course. I'm teaching this course too, and one of my favorites. Like, I really love to teach it. It's really cool. So this is the reason why I start by telling you, hey, I can't meaningfully talk to you about something that discusses equalization and compression and the techniques that are required to shape those waveforms in one meeting. So that's why I'm not going to talk about equalization and compression at all. Because my goal is not to help you to become a mixing engineer. My goal is to help you to be able to put a demo together and to know a couple of little rules that when you send them out to a person, you know, when you send out this to any person who's going to listen, the experience is comfortable and it's not pipettes. Basically, that there is no clipping. And I do have a very clear technique that is designed to tackle that problem. So let's go. By the way, I noticed something here super random, but I want to fix it. Just give me, I can't. No, can I? Just give me a second. It's something in the stream that I want to fix, in the stream to YouTube. For some reason. I see. For some reason. Yeah, my camera is back on the stream on YouTube. So, hi. Okay, awesome. So, okay, I have a project here, and actually this project was already a bit mixed, and I destroyed it a bit, so it's unmixed. And the first thing I will tell you, and that I can meaningfully tell you, because the goal is what things can I tell you now that will be meaningful and that will be useful to you. So the first thing about any mixing endeavor has to be about organizing your tracks. And I'm very boring about this, and I talk about this a lot, and I repeat this information a lot. It's just like it's fundamental. So, okay, for this, I personally have a particular color code that I always follow and respect very much. So, my drums are red. You will choose whatever color you're gonna use. My guitars are blue. And also, I have a hierarchy of things. Like, they are not like in any random order. I always respect the same order. These are the kind of things that I can tell you today that are gonna be useful. So, after my drums comes my bass. And my bass is usually orangey kind of thing. Guitars are blue for me, and this is another bass guitar. This is a bass synth, and this is a bass guitar. For me, like, performed instruments that are not electronic take a order in this hierarchy. This is what I'm telling you is not right or wrong. You will develop your own, but the first step has to be to clean and organize everything. Because if not, what the hell are you gonna mix, or what are you gonna do? It's just impossible to work like this. So. Okay, so I have drums, then I have a physical bass here, and that is orangey. I have a bass synth that is kind of like another. I always work like with shades. So it's like if bass 1 is orangey, bass 2 is a little bit orangey. The reason for that is because sometimes I'm working with sessions that are 170 tracks or something, and then you're just moving around, and you can just quickly jump and by section know where you are, because the if not, it's impossible. So okay, then I have guitar here, and then I don't know what this is. Let me see. It's like just one bass note there. Most likely it's a mistake or something, but I'm gonna put it there for now because I don't know what it is. Okay, and then I have guitars. I have a cello. I have a synth. So as I told you, you see, for me, performed instruments. Well, I mean, a synth is also performed, but acoustic instruments come first. It's actually not true. You see, I have a bass synth here. It's kind of like each section has that hierarchy. It's like acoustic drums, and then if there are some samples or percussion, will come after acoustic drums. Then acoustic bass will come first, after will come bass synth, and things like that. So inside that big hierarchy, there is drums elements, bass elements, guitar elements. I have another hierarchy, which is like, okay, inside that thing, it's like if I have acoustic drums, they come first, then percussion loops. I cannot tell you that this is the true way to follow, but you will develop your own. Okay, so then I have a cello. For me, our orchestral instruments go right next to the vocals, and the vocals are the very last in the bottom, so I'm always know like, okay, vocals are down here, drums are up here, so I can just jump around. Then I have a vibrato synth. These are all synths, so my synths for me are like 80s color or vapor wavy, so they're kind of like always like I don't know, purplish kind of vibe, or fuchsia or whatever those colors are called. And okay, and then I have a cello. Usually for me the orchestral instruments are like brown color, like a piano kind of thing. And vocals, I always paint them kind of like dark skin, like as if a person with black skin or black color, because the first vocalist I ever recorded was a man from Senegal. So I was like, okay, for me, like all singers are black people in my head, like just even if they're white. It's just like I like to do it like that. I just it's a tribute to Alun. His name is Afua. Sorry. Another thing that I think is useful when you're doing this is like Ableton has this function, which is like I assign track color to clips. You see, so it will recolor the track to the same color as, I mean, all those clips, it will recolor them as the tracks, and you will see like our session will become instantaneously way much more navigatable, if I can say. Like, because I'm just journeying around and it's like, okay, like these are drums, these are bass, these are bass, these are guitars, these are synths, these are synths, these are synths, these are, and I don't even have to read the names. These are cellos, these are vocals, and these are also vocals, so it would be another shade of this. So assign color track to clips. The other thing, well, in here I have this, like, this is a demo that the singer gave me, and I will right now just kind of like delete this track because I don't care about this. Well, I'm rethinking about this because it could be useful later to compare, so I'm just gonna close it there and demo. The next thing I need to do is I'm gonna act right now as if there is a lot of more tracks, okay? So I will do some things that they look stupid, but I'm doing them because I have a scheme of operation that applies to all my projects, and that's the most important thing, actually. It really is the most important thing. So even though there is only one drum track, I'm going to make a group, because in case you ever work with more than one drum track, and I'm sure you do this a lot, you're gonna have to group them all. So I'm gonna make a group, and this group is the drums group. So let me rename this, and this group is the drums group. And I'm gonna paint this yellow. All the what I call final outputs, you know, like the ends that go to the actual master. Do you remember what I said? Like when two people speak, the two voices become one.
Yeah.
And they form one waveform. So the things that I'm painting yellow are gonna be those elements that sum into one in the end. So it's kind of like, if it's, imagine my body, right? It has like a heart, like the lungs, like, I was telling you a situation where Denise and I were speaking, so it's two people, and inside our bodies there are all these components, right? Denise and I, our bodies will be yellow, and then our internal organs will be painted in a whole bunch of different colors, you know, because there are so many hierarchies when you're mixing. It's like, what is the component of the drums bus? That's how we call it in sound engineering. These are the components of the drum bus. Okay, now there is a point where I stop caring about those components and I only care about the drum bus as one thing. That's why I color the final buses yellow. So you see, I have all these bass components. These are two bass components. So I want to group them into a component that is going to be called bass group. Bass group. So let's paint that yellow. And I can close it. So the next, I have a bass synth. I am separating it from the bass acoustic. There is a reason for that, and it's because I want to do processing individually to them. I don't want to process bass acoustic and bass synth as one. But anyways, for the sake of this exercise, I'm gonna group this, and I'm gonna name this rename. So I'm gonna name this bass synth. I actually never use this word group here. It's very weird that I'm doing it right now for some reason. Wait, something is happening here. Sorry. So I'm gonna rename this, and if I would call it, I usually call it just like drums. But if I would call it something, it would be boss, like drums boss. It's a more pro way to call it. Bass boss, because a group for us is a different thing. Then I have bass synth group, which is, let's call it bass synth boss, and rename bass synth boss. Rename. Okay, and I'm gonna paint it yellow again. And then I have only one guitar, so I'm gonna make that group as well and call it guitar boss. And let's color it. And then here you will see that what I'm doing is a bit more useful. It's like I'm gonna group all these three guys, and then I'm gonna call this synth group, like synth boss, sorry, and I'm gonna color it yellow. And then I have, this is gonna be like orchestral boss, so let's just call it orchestral boss, and then I have vox. So in this case, I have two type of voices here. So I'm gonna make two groups, because let's imagine like a song with a lot of backing vocals or something like that. So I'm gonna call these guys LV, which is lead voice, boss, or lead vocals, and then I'm gonna have another boss that I'm gonna call BVs, and this word will stay forever. Like you will see, I learned this when I was working with Zemfirы. Like the guitarist was always saying like, what about the BVs? And I was like, what? And then I got it, like, okay, the backing vocals. I see. Just like English people, they like to shrink everything into like acronyms or something. Okay, so that's it. And then I do one more step here, and this is, first I want to say I hate to mix in Ableton. It's not that I don't like it. It's like it makes me angry. I love Ableton Live with a passion. I find it an amazing program, but it is the worst program in the world to mix. Like, and I tell you this with absolute certainty. It's not a subjective thing, and I'm telling you exactly why. There is no way in Ableton Live that you can grab 100 tracks and switch off one plugin inside those 100 tracks. You need to open each one of those tracks and switch off the fucking plugins. Like, and that is criminal for a mixing engineer. You need to be able to switch off millions of plugins in one click. And I understand that you can go into, for example, the bass track and then open this and switch off a lot of plugins like this. I need one button that switches off the plugins in 170 tracks, like with one click. And that's only for that. It's just impossible to mix in this program at a professional level. I understand that many people do it, and that's great for them, but that's why I hate it. But anyways, so I'm gonna collapse all my groups for a second. And by the way, of course, I understand I'm giving you a lot of info, so you will watch this video again or whatever in the future. I don't pretend that all of this is coherent or you will learn it right away. So, and then I'm gonna grab all of this and I'm gonna group everything again, like into one group inside a group. And this is gonna be something that is called the mix bus. And in the future, in our relationship of learning and education and having fun together, talking about the mix bus will be like those things that you can sit out for 30 years and talk about just the mix bus, because a lot of shit happens there. I will not talk about that today. So now what do I have? Ta-da! I closed everything into one micro force there, that it's our whole mix. And so if I uncollapse these groups, now I have a situation in which you see, if I jump quickly, I'm gonna move very fast, like you're seeing, like, because that's why I paint. I mean, by the way, this color scheme, I took it from a very famous sound engineer that he made a video about his mixing template, and so yeah, it's not my idea. And so you see, like, if I were to have, wait, let me duplicate this. If I were to have like 700 drum tracks, you know, like if I'm moving like this, I'm just like, and then you feel already like this is where the drums track end and this is where the drums track begin. And that's why those yellow, you know, there's a reason for that. And that you see, like, you move around quickly and you're like, okay, this is red, these are drums, this is yellow, these are basses, you know, etc. You get the point. So that's all of this that I told you is the most important thing that you can tell to somebody who is just starting to do this. It's like, rule number 1, get your room in order, your house clean, you know. Okay, so we got our house clean, and the next step is kind of all what I'm going to tell you today, because in my opinion it's all that you need to know at this point. Well, I don't like to put it like that, but it's what I, considering that we have a course, because I hate when people tell you this is what you need to know. It's like, how do you know what I need to know? Like, so I don't know what you need to know. It's up to you. But and if you want to continue researching this, you should. But because we have a natural progression that we're going to follow, I don't want to like go deeper than this today. That's kind of the best way to put it. But there is something I can tell you that it's very, very useful. So the next thing we're going to do is to switch off everything. Like in sound engineering, silence is a very useful thing. So it's a really, really useful thing. You should start from silence. You should be able to be in a position where you can switch off things really quickly. You see, and this is the other reason why I do this. So now I have no sound, and that's very useful, because sometimes when you have 10 million tracks and they're all laid out there, and then you want to hear something, you want to start by mixing one of the elements alone. If you have another element there that you forgot to mute or something that is still making sound, it's going to affect the results of everything. So your first step must be silence. And once you are in silence, what you're going to do next is to choose your most important instrument of what you're going to mix. So in this song that we're mixing, I think that the most important element, I'm going to let it to be the vocals, okay? It doesn't matter so much in this particular case. That's another 30-year conversation. It's like, which one is the most important instrument in the mix? It's like, it's a very long story, but that will be covered very extensively in our lectures. I mean, imagine, which path are you going to choose? Engineering or songwriting? Do you know this?
Engineer.
You're going to choose the path of engineering. Wow, that's great. So you and I are going to have 115 lectures about this. I'm not joking. That's kind of the number, or 120. For real, just about this. And it's not enough. Like, that's how much we can talk about this. Like, I could now, after all the 10 years I've been mixing, I could now start to be the student in a 120 lecture course, and I would learn infinite amounts. Like, it's just really, really complex, because it is about, remember, these Fourier transformations and how waveforms, it is about that physics. And that's why it's so fascinating. So anyways, okay, I chose the vocals to be the main instrument, so I'm going to open them. And this is, I could have just told you this in 5 seconds and that's all the video you needed to see, but you know, I like to tell the big story, so whatever. I'm sorry if it's a bit boring or long, but this is what you really need to know. After you get all your tracks clean, you're going to put your tracks here, and you're going to open your meter, which is your best friend when you're mixing. Your meter is down here, and you're going to see those levels. Let me expand this. And this is where most newbies fall, and this is video, what we're going to learn today, is going to kill this problem forever. It's really simple. There is no rocket science here. You chose your most important element, and then you see, like, this meter is telling you 2 things at the same time. You see, there is like a dark green and a light green.
Yeah.
That's RMS and peak readings. We will discuss that very, very, very carefully over time. But basically, like, if you hear a snare, you know, that is like, I Actually, I can even demonstrate it to you if it's not so hard. Let me just open here a MIDI track and drop here 707 instruments, drums. Wait, let me just grab the 707 core kit and put here the keys. Sorry, no, that's not what I want. Ah, yeah, I need to go down a bit. Okay. So if I do this, wait. Wow, I was not expecting that. That's really interesting. Ah, yeah, that's really great. So imagine for a moment. Let me think about how's the fastest way I can explain you this. Do you see that? I mean, first of all, do you see that when I hit the snare, there is like a dark green reading and a light green reading? Yeah?
Yeah, I see.
I mean, you can see it in the screen. Okay. So what that means is that imagine that I take a photo of you, or imagine that I take a little video of you moving. Like I'm talking about a video that is 1 second long. I mean, or less, half a second long. So the photo contains a certain amount of information that is useful to us, but maybe sometimes I want to see it a little bit more like a very quick video, just to see, kind of like grab a little bit of a larger sample of information of what's happening to you. If I see a photo in one instant moment, that's a peak reading of you. It's like you in a peak moment of your life. You can put it like that. It's just an instant. It's an instantaneous measurement. But an RMS reading, it's more like a bit of a longer time span. So I can see what the hell was happening across time to you. For example, I see a photo like this, and I don't know if you were smiling really, but maybe I see the video and then I see like, oh, look, a smile was there. I didn't know there was a smile. I saw the photo, but the photo was captured in the moment when the smile was closed, and I thought that Tatiana was sad. But it turns out that she was happy when I saw the video. And so audio has an instantaneous component and a component over time. And if you hit, for example, 2 pieces of Lego, I obviously have this here because of my sons, and everybody should have Lego all the time, I guess. If I just hit one piece, one like instant hit of it, it has a very fast component, tick, and then it doesn't have like a long development over time, like if I play a guitar note, like boom. But this thing is just decays right away. It's like tick, and it ends right away because of the natures of that sound. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because this sound that I'm hitting, think about the example of the smile that I showed you. This sound that I'm hitting has not so much of an RMS. It will not show you so much on the RMS reading because it's so fast that, imagine, it's something that happens in a microsecond, and then I took a 5-second video of it, and it's like, okay, whatever. The whole thing ended after a microsecond anyways. So I didn't got any information out of this. I hope that you understand what I'm trying to say about peak and RMS. The point is that these are 2 different measurements and of the same phenomenon, and that it's normal that some things don't show RMS levels because they are so fast. They're faster than the reading of the RMS. I think a good example would be, again, of the example of the smile. Imagine that you're a robot and you smile in a nanosecond, but I take a 1-second video of you. I will not be able to see the smile anyways, because it was so fast that the video covered 1 second of your life, but you smiled and I missed it because your smile was 1 nanosecond. So this is what a RMS and a peak reading is, and it's a really important thing, and we will discuss it with a lot of care. So when I see these 2 meters, I'm seeing the peak component of it, which is the dark gray. You see, it's like louder than the RMS component. You see it?
Yeah.
And the reason for that, and you see, when I play low-end things, the difference is smaller in between the RMS and the peak. Look, like, look at this. Look at this. Let me see. Look at this. Look at this difference. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see.
Now, if I play a kick, look at the size of that difference.
Yeah.
because the kick smiles slower and the palette key smiles really fast. And so you cannot catch that smile in a video. Now, I needed to explain to you what's the difference between peak and RMS. Because the step that I want you to follow requires you to follow the lower meter, not the higher, okay? So you're going to pay attention to the lower meter. And the lower meter is the RMS meter of Ableton. Okay? So, all right, I'm looking at my voice. And you see my voice gives me an RMS reading and a peak reading. And I'm going to be paying attention to the peak reading. To the RMS, excuse me, reading. The lower one, the light green. So, there is a plugin. Like, you can do what I'm going to tell you right now. You can do it with this fader, okay? You know what I mean, like with the usual fader. But I have a tradition, and dude, it's so funny. Like, last week, I gave a lecture to the post-production students that finally allowed me to explain why I was doing something that I didn't even know why I was doing it. Like, I was doing it just because it was comfortable for me. And there was a student last year who was just drilling me all the time. Like, why the fuck do you do that? Like, that's so stupid that you're doing that. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I finally got redeemed last week. So that thing that I do, I like to leave all my faders in 0 and not touch those faders. And in the future, one day you will see, and I will remember this. In 2 years, there will be a lecture that I'm going to tell you, remember that consultation. This was the reason. I hope that either you don't forget or I don't forget. But you will hear the explanation on why that is, but I don't want to tell it to you now because it's cool that we wait 2 years to hear the answer. So, okay. I'm going to put there, you know, this plugin of Ableton called, it's a very simple plugin. It's called Utility, right? You know this plugin, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to look at my vocals. We're almost done. You will see. Like that's kind of all you need to know, and then this needs to be repeated a lot of times, but you will see what I mean. So you will grab your vocals, you will make a loop, and you will see the values there. So you see, when he sings loud, this thing goes all the way to -12. That's the correct way to read this number. -12 in RMS. Let's go again. Like, let's find, this is the important thing. So I'm going to write here a little algorithm. Choose the most important instrument. And I'm going to send you this algorithm. 2.
Okay.
2. Find, well, obviously the step 0 that I told you was already step 1 was get everything off. Like switch everything off. Start with silence. Then choose the most important instrument. Then 3, regardless of what are the plugins that you have in your channels, put a utility plug at the end of your processing chain. And then the 4th step is look at the meters in the loudest part of the song. 5, make sure that the most important instrument has a level that never, I'm gonna put it, you know this ish in English, you know what it means, right?
Да.
No, that never ish. I mean, it's kind of like if it crosses a little bit, you're not gonna die for this, but just make sure that the most important instrument has a level that never ish crosses. Wait. Sorry, never ish crosses minus 15 dBFS in RMS. So let's look at what that means. Use the utility as a tool to achieve this. Now, look at the meters in the lowest part of the song. I'm gonna put you here an option which is like Leave all your faders at 0, and make sure that the most important instrument has a level that never ish crosses minus 15 dBFS in RMS. Use the utility tool to achieve this. So, and then the next step will be, I'm gonna write it here and then explain it. The next step will be unmute the second most important instrument, and then 8. Let me write you here something, and I'm gonna write it. Look, the level of this main instrument will never be touched forever in the history of the universe. So I'm gonna put it like that, and I'm gonna put it in font 100, you know, because that's the key of the technique that I'm showing to you. Like, you grabbed your main instrument, and you made sure that it never crosses the minus 15 dBFS, and that will be your roof for your whole mix. This thing never changes at all. You don't touch that thing anymore. Never. Look, all the things I'm telling you now, I break these rules later, but it's kind of like if you're learning to paint and Picasso is your teacher, you know, he's gonna tell you like how to do a correct painting, and then you will destroy that correct painting later, you know. Of course, sometimes I just grab everything and clip it on purpose because that's what I want, but I'm trying to get you to a point where you are under control of things. So the level of this main instrument will never be touched forever in the history of the universe. That would be your roof for everything. And so that, unmute the second most instrument, and put a and then I'm gonna write you here like this thing, regardless of what are the plugins that you have in your channels, put a utility at the end of your process chain, and then use the utility to craft a balance that makes sense in regards to the level of your main instrument. And then repeat this with all instruments. And then the step 9, because I'm not teaching you anything about Mix Boss today. There are so much things that you need to learn that are going to be there. The stage 9 would be put a utility in your master or Mix Boss. And I mean, when you're done, you did it for all the instruments, and then you're done. Repeat all the instruments till you're done. Wait, till you're done. Put a utility plugin in your master or Mix Boss, and turn the volume of your whole mix until it reaches the closest it can be to 0, but never clips. So that's all. That's all you need to know. I'm gonna show you these steps right now, but I'm gonna send you this right away. Like, these are the steps that you need to follow at the stage where you are. So let me go here, and drop you these steps. And now I will repeat this. So okay, great. So I'm here and I'm looking at my vocals, and they are crossing. We saw it already. Like here, they're crossing the minus 12. So I'm gonna go here and go to that loudest moment. And actually, I know this song, and I know that part repeats. And I rather look at it. Wait, because I did a production to the song and I removed a lot of elements here. So I'm gonna use the other backing. The reason why I'm doing this is because there are more elements here, and I want it to be in a more busy moment. So I'm gonna focus on this guitar vocal line instead. You see, and it looks louder. Wait, we're not hearing it because I switch it off. Like. So let's look at the meters when we're looking at this again. So you see, it goes way above -12. So I'm gonna make a little loop here, and I'm gonna grab this, and I'm gonna drop a utility here in that channel, and gonna look at my master meter. So I need to turn this down. I guess the question would be, where is -15? Well, it's somewhere in between 18 and 12, right? Like, I mean, this doesn't show you that. I need to turn it down a bit more. That's nice. You see? Like, the loudest part of the song fell in between those two elements. So, that I will never touch that again. That's my reference. That it's the roof of everything I'm doing. So what's the next element I'm gonna open? Let's see the guitars here and see what's up.
The music is too loud. I can't hear you. I hear that you're talking.
No, I was talking to Sirius. I was talking to Sirius, and the guys arrived here, and
okay,
I have a problem
sorry.
because I have two monsters here now, touching everything as I'm trying to tell you this. So, okay, now I'm gonna grab my guitars, and I'm going to drop the utility here, and I'm gonna make a balance in relationship to the vocals that I just modified. Now, check this out. I'm gonna write you here a comment in this thing that I wrote you here. Switch off everything, start silence. Wait. Дружок, я не могу сейчас. Let me get rid of the kids right now. Малыш, прости, я сейчас не могу. Привет. Давай, пойдем. Я сейчас занят, дружок. Прости, малыш, сейчас не могу. Хорошо? Я скоро буду с вами. Хорошо? Я сейчас занят, дружок. Сириус, ты здесь. Давай, друзья. Я сейчас на встречу и сделаю запись. Давай. Маленькие задники. Давай. Я скоро буду с вами, дружок. Okay, sorry. Okay. I wanted to put you something here. Put a utility in your master mix was. Just wait a moment. Yeah. Important note. Critical balance is better achieved when monitoring at very, very, very quiet levels. So what do I mean? I want to decide the level between backing vocals and or vocals and guitars. It's a subjective option. It's like, how loud should the vocals be over the guitars? Well, it's up to the mixing engineer. And how loud should that be? Well, it's a relative thing. And sometimes maybe you want the guitars to be way louder than vocals. How can you understand this, or what can you do to make a better decision? Well, turn your volume. I mean, it's not even super quiet. It's like turn your volume almost to the point where actually go to 0 and then turn it up until the first time you start hearing it, and leave it there, and then have a listen, and you will see whatever you feel is louder, that's the thing that you need to turn down. But remember, your vocals, you will never touch them, right? So maybe you have to turn off the guitars or something. So okay, let's see. So I guess, I'm just kind of joking here, and I guess I'm gonna turn it off a bit. It's too much. Like, that's good, I think, for me. And then I go to the next instrument. So what's the next instrument? The bass synth. So let's switch it on. So let's load an utility there. Great. Let's see the bass guitar. Switch it on. And so I have made a balance there between all of these elements. Now let me look at the main. And look, there is a reason, there is a really good reason why I didn't ask you to put a limiter on the mix bus. Usually people will ask you to put a limiter in the mix bus and do what I asked you to do in 0.9, but with a limiter. And if I were mixing that, I would put a limit in there, but I'm asking you not to put a limiter on purpose until you really don't understand fully why a limiter is used and why it should be there, you know, because it's kind of like, it's kind of like consuming steroids for doing sports. Imagine that you have your first lecture with somebody that is teaching you how to go to the gym, and it's like, step 1, consume steroids. And it's like, okay, very unhealthy advice. So that's, I mean, the correct tool for that is a limiter. If you want to experiment with a limiter, you can. Of course, you can do whatever you want, but my recommendation is right now just work at that level, because this would be enough. Like, and you see, like now my peak levels are almost clipping, so it means that I really don't have so much chance to make this louder. And actually, most likely, if I go to another moment of the song, there will be a little bit of a clip. And let me tell you now what this clipping means in terms of audio. Clipping means, you know, when you write a tweet and or whatever. I mean, you use Instagram, which is your social media of choice.
In Instagram.
Okay, like Instagram has a character limit too, right? Like you cannot write more than 5,000 characters or something in a post.
Yeah, I know that like clipping, it's when the signal is too loud for the...
Sure, and I know you know that. I just want to tell you one more fishka that is really cool. I know that you know that. Everybody who is at the level where we are now knows that clipping means it's too loud. But let me tell you what it means exactly in terms of the computer processing that is going on. You know, like if you have a Instagram post that has a 5,000 character limit, you wrote 5,050 words, and those last 50 words are gone. They are removed from the post. The same is happening with the clipping of audio. You know, whatever is above 0, the system doesn't have enough computer code language available to code that. And that's it. So you're literally blowing up information, and that's bad, and that's why you don't want to clip. Of course, I mean, I'm not going to tell you that if you clip one micro thing, you should burn your computer and throw it out of the window. It's like, whatever. I mean, it's normal if there is a little clip there and here and there. But what is not normal is that red thing is just like happening a lot. Like if it happens once or twice across your song, you're okay. But if you follow these steps, your mix will never, you will see that you will find yourself in a situation and that's what happens to me nowadays. You know, sorry that I'm getting ahead of myself there. And of course, you can do those steps as you are in the production stage. That's what I do. And so I don't wait till the mixing stage to do this. I produce in this fashion. So when I finish the production, everything is already balanced and I don't need to start doing it then, because then it would be really hard to do it. That's all I have to share with you for today. Like the only thing I can tell you about equalization right now, that I want to tell you about equalization right now, is that you will open a lot of space. You know, I described the process of mixing as trying to grab 20,000 elephants and put them in a bus. You know, it's like you're gonna have to chop legs and heads of some elephants if you're gonna feed them in there. Unfortunately, like they're not gonna fit in their hole. Poor elephants, but that's how it's gonna be. So you need to open space everywhere you can. And the question is, how do you know what to cut and all of that? And that's why we have 100 and something lectures ahead together to discuss this, because it took me the first mix that I made that I was like, this is a pro mix. It was kind of like 3 years ago, and I've been mixing since like at a professional level since 2010. So it took me only 12 years like to make the first mix that I was like, that's worth $4,000 or something. Like, it's not what they paid me, but that's what it's worth. Yeah. And I'm not telling you that it will take the same amount of time to you. Everybody's different and faster, and I'm maybe more dumb or stupid or slower in some things, and I'm not saying like you need 12 years like me to, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it took me that amount of time because it's not easy. And so the only thing I can tell you right now about equalization that could be useful to you is something like this. Look at your things, and you see, like, look at this visualizer. Like,
Yeah.
there is nothing happening above 10K, really. And so let's blow up things that I don't need, you know. And the other, because you don't see it here, but there is some dirt there that you're not seeing in this visualizer because it's a shitty visualizer. There is some dirt down there that is just not in our scale. If I could change the scale, I guess that you can. I'm sure that it's possible. A scale, look. No, well, whatever. I don't know why, but anyways, like, yeah. I'm just trying to see, like, if I can see more info so you can see. No, whatever. Here's showing me a bit more. But anyways, yeah, a good visualizer will make you see that there's some stuff there. And the other thing that you will learn over time is that this thing obviously is in between 10 hertz and 20,000 hertz. And there is a lot of stuff down here also that you can get rid of, even though you see that there is information there. And so the only thing I can tell you right now about equalization that will be useful to you is not exactly what to do here, because that's a long story and I don't want to cover it today. Like, it's not what to do here, but it's more like use the low pass and the high pass filters to get rid of all the dirt that you don't need. In this case, it's a bit difficult because it's a bass, not difficult, but I mean, it's nuanced conversation. Now, if I open the acoustic guitar, it would be really clear. Let me just open the acoustic guitar. So now you see, like, where is my acoustic guitar? It's all really easy to find because I did that track cleanup at the beginning. So where's my acoustic guitar? It's gonna be in the guitar bus, and there it is. Oh, great, I found it. And now, what do I mean? Let me drop an EQ8 here. Like, maybe for a person who is starting, it's hard to be certain of what I'm about to tell you, but and actually, how can you know? And this we will see it in the course for sure, buried in detail. We will see it in the course. But if you search here on Google, like, or on your search engine of choice, if you search like musical instrument audio frequency diagram, you will see something like this. You see? And you will see, like, oh, look, like, let's see an acoustic guitar. This is actually, there is one that I use in my course, but I don't see it around here. Let's just look at this guitar, whatever. So you see guitars, this is here, it's like 73 hertz. So, of course, these things are not the Bible. They don't hold the key of proper human behavior, you know. But it's an orientation. It's like that diagram is telling you that under 73 hertz, there is nothing useful on the guitars. So you should get rid of that. And so where is 73 hertz? Actually, I mean, this is obviously dependent on the source. I mean, depending on how high the guitar is playing. So, but I guess that if I stand around here, that's going to be fine. And I'm removing the stuff that I don't need from the acoustic guitar. And the same I can do on the top. This is dangerous stuff because you can end up fucking up the instruments. So you gotta do this basing yourself on the diagram like this. So you see the guitar, in this case, he's telling me that, like, you see, this is like the most important elements of the guitar, obviously, because he's telling me, look, after 1397, that's absolutely, obviously not true, that there is no information on the guitar there. It's not true at all. So I'm imagining that he's telling that the fundamental notes of the guitar play around those areas. And so you should never cut this from 1000 hertz because you're going to fuck it all up. But the rule of thumb there is just like, do this, you know, overdo it, and then start recovering until you feel like, it sounds natural. I'm going to leave it there. That's all. With these steps that I'm suggesting you, I'm going to quit this. That's all I wanted to say. With these steps that I'm suggesting you, you're going to get really far on beginning musical balance, you know, and that's gonna be quite useful. So I'm gonna end up the stream, and the rest of the parts we can discuss it together. So to everybody around, have a great day, and I'm gonna switch off the streaming part. I hope this was useful.